YouTube. It is Isaac Karma coming to you with a little 1v1 action. That's right, back to form. It's been many moons since we've done a little 1v1. Was one part of our faction focus, so it's a return to form, hopefully. Here we are against Lost in the Mix, who is the dreaded Gobbo King under one of his many aliases. And we're going a little Chaos versus Empire action, a little fun, flavorful nonsense here. So what do I got? I got Sarthorel, the Everwatcher, who is always watching, as his name would imply, and I got him with, this is Final Transmutation, and this is a Plague of Rust. So this was a very competitive match. Like we're trying out competitive builds, doing a little practicing, as you can imagine, and yeah, trying to get better, trying to get good, as the meme goes. Of course, Gobbo's a very, very good player, better than I. I'm not saying I'm bad, but Gobbo's definitely a very, very good player, definitely one of the top YouTube players for sure. So anytime you come up against Gobbo, you gotta bring your A game. In any case, Sarthorel the Everwatcher. I brought some Chaos Marauder front line, which I think is going to be very much the meta. If you want to go super competitive, you bring a very weak front line, because that's the way the game's going right now. A couple of Forsaken to cut through his chaff. Summoners of Rage on the right flank. Regular Shaggas on the left, or regular Dragon Ogres on the left flank, rather. Sorry. A couple Throwing Axes Marauders, and some Chaos Knights with Lances. So that's my line. So not, wide-ish, but not crazy wide. Got some elite units in the back and some fodder for infantry in the front, and then of course Forsaken will cut through. Gobbo, meanwhile, has gone full wide. He's just gone as wide as he could possibly go, I think. So he's got some spearmen, some swordsmen. I don't even think I see a single regiment of renown in here. A bunch of Free Company militia. He's got a witch hunter, some more spearmen, some Knights of the Blazing Sun, a Hammer of Witches, and a more spearmen just all across the way, and then another Knights of the Blazing Sun. And his goal, I think, here with Balthazar Gelt, of course, was to cast Final Transmutation and Plague of Rust. We actually have the same spells, funny enough. Exactly the same spells. And he's going to use that to negate some of the armor on my units, and then just shoot away with them, whittle away with them with the Free Company militia. And that will work against, pretty much my whole army. Nothing really has armor to begin with anyways, except for these guys at 120. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So we're both moving right into each other. Obviously, Gobbo wants me to engage as far as he can away from the Hammer of Witches, so that's smart to make us run. He's charging his Knights of the Blazing Sun here. I'm going to see that. I'm going to get my Summoners of Rage here. I am trying to avoid his shots. I'm going to pull these guys back. Don't want to let them get a free charge, of course. And I'm going to try and bring them as close as I can to my Summoners of Rage. Meanwhile, everything else we're just moving up along the way. He's going to get maybe a Final Transmutation? Is that what he's going for? It's looking like he might do that. Yeah. So Final Transmutation, maybe a little early on that. It's going to do a lot of damage, but yeah, I don't know. There's no spearmen here to back him up, so I'm fine with getting in there. These guys are these spearmen. Yeah, did not do enough damage. That might not have been overcasted. In any case, so we're pulling these guys back. We don't want them to fight spearmen. A lot going on. We're throwing axe in there. That's just me being a poor micro. We're going to move these Chaos Knights up. Sarthorel, of course, you can just throw him in. He'll be fine. We have lost a lot of damage on the Summoners of Rage due to the fire of the Hammer of Witches, but that's okay. We're going to pull them back now. I mean, it's not okay. It's definitely not great, but it's, we're getting some charges in here. And we're putting through these guys here. Sarthorel's in the back line. We are just right into his gunners. And he's going to charge into the Blazing Sun, who will not do amazing in this fight without the help of his spells. But of course we have our own spells coming in. They've been Plague of Rusted, so they're at 40 armor, and then we've got these Summoners, or sorry, these Dragon Ogres in there, so we're doing very well. These Summoners of Rage are just getting attacked constantly by Jacques and all that. They're just getting the work done, but we are in the back line. These Forsaken have also made it to the back line here against Sterling's Revenge. It's a good pickup for us. This fight doesn't really matter. It's just a bunch of chaff slugging it out. There is a greatsword in here somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, one greatsword. So Gobbo did bring one greatsword, but I'm going to bring these guys around, just ping-ponging Sarthorel around. He's going to get a nice rear charge into these Forsaken. And these Summoners of Rage are pretty much done at this point. They've been hit by virtually everything in the kitchen sink, between the Hammer of Witches and the Witch Hunter, and then spells and Balthazar and Knights of Blazing Sun. But the cost of that is we've pretty much wiped out this left flank. We're getting shatters across the way. The Knights of Blazing Sun are dead. Our Knights are in very good health. These Summoners are very good health. So he's put a lot of focus on killing the Summoners of Rage, which is important, of course. They are 2,000 spend unit, but at the cost of pretty much losing his flank. So we've traded flanks to a certain degree. We are going to get in here and hit these Hammer of Witches. We're going to hit these guys with this giant roving Goom squad. Sarthorel's fighting greatswords. That's a great matchup for him. These swordsmen are just sitting still for a little bit, so are they. I haven't used these guys at all this whole game. Just sort of sat them there, but that's fine. These guys are going to slug it out. These guys are chevroned up, so they'll actually win this fight. Let's actually see what the stats are. I had some extra spend. I had like 300 extra spend as Chaos, so what are you going to get? I mean, Hounds, but yeah, I chevroned them up. So with those chevrons, they're virtually the same. It looks like they're going to win, though, with that added charge bonus, and then, 4 more melee attack, and just higher leadership. Less armor, but not enough to make a significant difference. So yeah, but I mean, it'll be an atrocious fight in any case. We're on his Hammer of Witches. We're just, Gobbo was very good on his micro, as he's known to do. He pulled these guys off, but we're going to force path after them. Meanwhile, we're going to, pretty much wipe the floor of these Free Company Militia, who I thought were handgunners the whole time. But yeah, so these Summoners of Rage have returned over here, but they're, very, very battered. Forsaken will take that fire pretty well, and they'll also catch these Swordsmen. They will get hit by these Knights of Blazing Sun, but I see this, and I'm going to reactivate these Marauder Horsemen, start throwing axes into them, and meanwhile, we're still just cleaning up all over here. We're going to get these guys out of here, out of this fight, because we don't want them fighting Spearmen, naturally. Forsaken, just clean up over here and push everything off. This guy will be firing, but the only thing he can really fire at is the Dragon Ogres, although they are being J'accused, which is going to be very good for them. And now he's going to try and get a Knight of the Blazing Sun charge on them, but hopefully we can negate that with Sartharel, we'll see. And of course, we do have a lot of ammo on these axes, although we should take them off fire at will. That was a mistake. These Forsaken are come over here. He is shooting at these Summoners of Rage, but hopefully they get in here before they flee, and I think they do. And if they do get in there, yeah, that was a pretty weak charge, but at least they were able to prevent the fire and also move it. What's going on in here? So we're getting Knights of Blazing Sun, we're Final Transmutation, and that's going to be it for them, basically. These axes are just going to these Spearmen. That was poor play on my part, but what can you do? These Chaos Knights, though, are cleaning up everything on the flank. Over here, we have these Forsaken running those guys off, make sure they can't come back. These Shaggas are done, but there's no more large in the field, so we're not too concerned. And, yeah. So basically, yeah, I hate when people say that. But all that Gobbo's got left are this, pretty weak tier infantry. I have my axes, I have my Marauders, I have a very healthy Sartharel, and I have these Forsaken just chopping things up. He does have guns, though. That's the main worry. These Knights of Blazing Sun came back for a moment, then they fled. Our Dragon Ogres are going to be routed off the map, probably, although I might send my Knights to protect them. I don't remember exactly how this plays out. But these Greatswords are going to sit there and take axes to the face. We're more than fine with that. We do have some recovered Forsaken and everything here. This is not an engagement he wants to be in, but he's probably trying to protect his Free Company. I don't mind that at all. Again, these guys aren't going to do too much damage to the Forsaken, and these guys have shields even, so I'm okay with that. And I'm going to get in the back line. Here with Sartharel, do good damage on his charge, throwing more axes into these great swords, because there's nothing else really to kill at this point. We were able to send these Forsaken back, actually, to protect these guys. These Knights of the Blazing Sun will come back, but I'm going to see that, I think, and get a charge on them and sort of put them out. Really, the only danger here is the Sterling's Revenge, but we're gonna try and deal with that. And we're sending these axes to deal with them. Sartharel's in there doing his best. I don't know about the Forsaken. Did I pull them through? I pulled my Forsaken through, but they hit Swordsmen, and that's going to take them down. But we are cleaning up on the flanks here. We do still have a lot of axes. Well, a few axes. We were able to... Gobbo has yet to reactivate these guys, and a couple axe throws. We'll pretty much see them off. Yeah, there goes another model. Now they will flee for good. He's going to get a nice Final Transmutation and a good fire into there, but at the cost of... Well, not really much cost. He's playing well there. I made a mistake. I should have hit these guys right away. He did cast Final Transmutation over there. We're going to pull these guys out, and we're going to let our Forsaken get in here on these dudes. Meanwhile, Sartharel's going to come in from the flank because there's no way they can protect him. And now these guys have no more ammo, so now they are just a roving squad of Marauders, as their name implies. But we're going to split all our cav around. He was able to kill these Dragon Ogres, but really the main threat at this point is the Knights with Lances, because there's no more large on Gobbo's side. So really, he was... Maybe they weren't in rage, but they were probably better off firing at those guys. Although they're doing a job of firing while moving. But yeah, the Forsaken are going to cut through these Spearmen eventually. And then we're also going to hit these Witch Hunters, do a good bit of damage there. These guys are going to come in, get a little nice of a round. He's putting up a nice sword line on this side, but he's going to try and negate that charge, but it won't be enough. And again, all these units are pretty weak, so we're going to get nice full surrounds. I think we've gotten rid of the Sterling's Revenge, which was really the last threat for us. And with these Forsaken here, they can cut through pretty much everything on their own, and so can Sartharel. Both these guys, surprisingly, or interestingly enough, also have magic resistance. Although I don't know what the difference is. Let's see. Ooh, nice. As he rises, that's so cool. Wow, what a shot. Anyways, so let's see what his magic resist is. So he's got 25 and a missile resist of 25. But of course, and his stats aren't bad, which Gobbo noted to me, is that 70 charge is not bad at all, especially considering, and yeah, sure, it's not armor piercing, but he doesn't have much armor to begin with, only 30. What's his magic resist? Sartharel is 25 and 25. Oh, 60 for missile, but 25 for match. So very similar stats in terms of resistances. But of course, Sartharel already has 147 kills because he's a monster, and Balazar can never hope to match him. I mean, one lord is just clearly better than the other. But yeah, at this point, we're just gonna get recharges across. Cycle charging around the gap. Gaff? I never fucking pronounced that idiom correctly. Anyways, but over here we have the Forsaken beating up on the Witch Hunter. We have our Knights still in good shape. They're fighting great swords, these Forsaken are, which is not good, but of course with Sartharel helping, we should be okay. And I'm in his back line, and there's some swordsmen, there's some spears, but if we get rid of the spears, we're really in good shape, because the swordsmen will obviously not be able to... Nothing can kill Sartharel at this point. really, except for the Witch Hunter. So it comes down to that. And the Sterling's Revenge are back. Probably should chase them off. But yeah, we're going to get a nice rear charge in here, right into the back line of these guys. Casting Arcane Conduit. There's only a few models, though, 15, so it's not great. And then, of course, we do have Fear and Terror. So Terrified, rear charges. And then I'm going to pull in here and just pretty much get rid of these guys. Well, they can run and fire. That's pretty sweet. And we still have this roving squad of Marauders just running around. And yeah, really, his only hope is the Witch Hunter even with Jack Hughes. But even then, there's not a whole lot he can do to Sarthrel. So we'll just speed it up here at this point. It's just a lot of cycle charging. And it's just because leadership, the balance bar is quite balanced, but it's clearly in my favor. I have a very healthy unit of Knights. And I have Sarthrel is very healthy, but the leadership right now, the way the balance bar is working, it very much favors units that have it very much favors high leadership for some reason. I don't know why. In any case, yeah, we're just getting charged everywhere. Blah blah blah, a little Benny Hill thing, and then yeah, we're gonna see a cleanup here. Balthazar is trying to do his best to be the Grand Patriarch, Supreme Patriarch, but yeah, we're just beating up on the Witch Hunter here, who actually survived the whole game. I was surprised, and so did Balthazar. But yeah, there we go, and that'll be a victory for Sakarma. One of a few. Gobbo generally beats me when we're practicing. But yeah, so it's an interesting build from him. So the Empire box on it's very popular right now. You don't see a lot of elite infantry. Mainly the reason being is that there's no reason to. The reason being there's no reason to. That's a silly way to say things. No, because there's so many large units on the Chaos roster that when you do come up against them as the Empire, it's a huge risk to bring things like great swords because they can just, I mean, as you saw, Sarthrel just wrecks them. And of course, and I think Sarthrel is probably the most competitive pick now. Kolek, you could argue for Kolek as well back in the day, but I think Sarthrel is definitely the best with that missile resist and magic resist. You can just throw him in there and not worry about him. And then of course he's very cheap. So is Kolek, of course, but in any case, yeah, so our chaff was just able to cut through his chaff much faster, and then we were able to pretty much eliminate these guys with Final Transmutation right off the bat. And then these guys, they got good work in, but they weren't able to deal with my Knights. I mean, I had 3 units that he had to sort of choose between, sort of pick his poison, between the Chaos Knights with Lances and the Summoners of Rage and the Dragon Ogres. And you can see in the ascending kill numbers that Summoners of Rage he wiped out right away. And then he moved on to these Dragon Ogres. But by the time he got to my Knights, the damage had been done at 240 kills, almost 239 kills. And then, of course, the Forsaken are also in there just chopping through. So everything sort of got the damage that they needed to do. And by the end of the game, all his units were pretty much dead, with the exception of his leadership. And then, of course, we had Sarthrel. In any case, guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you around the bend.